Woo! Merry fucking Christmas! God, I love this holiday. Alright, so with the end of the year just around the corner, I thought it would be fun to just do two types of videos. One video discussing my favorite games of 2017, and another where I look forward to the future of the Switch. I'll be taking a short break for Christmas and maybe New Year's, but for this video, I'm going to look to the future since I need more time to play some Switch games to truly make my favorite 2017 games list a bit more accurate to how I feel. So, sorry about that. However, let's not waste any more time. These are my top 10 most anticipated 2018 games for the Nintendo Switch. Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night. Now, anyone who knows me even a bit knows my excitement for Bloodstained, but I'll fill you in. Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night is a spiritual successor of Castlevania Symphony of the Night and was kickstarted a while ago and being led by Koji Igarashi himself of Castlevania fame. Symphony of the Night is one of my all-time favorite games, and with Konami acting the way they have with Castlevania, I'm finally excited to get my hands on Bloodstained. Now, I feel I should disclose that not only am I a backer for the game, I also have met many of the people involved with the game itself. Angel Corlux, global brand manager of Bloodstained, Mano Ikeda, community manager, and Koji Igarashi himself. However, this doesn't really mean anything. It's only 10th on this list because we have heard this story before with spiritual successors of games like Mighty No. 9 and Yooka-Laylee. Now, let me make it clear, I'm not saying this game will be anything like these in terms of quality, but I personally like to be cautious with things like this because you just never know, but that's just me. I have been really hyped for this game to the point of making a fan page dedicated to the game that has a little bit over 1,000 likes on it. Definitely want this on my Switch, and definitely going to keep an eye on it. Valkyria Chronicles 4. This is a game that is in an interesting place for myself. I have no connection whatsoever with this franchise, and pretty much know absolutely nothing about it other than it's a game with a World War II-like setting, and is a strategy RPG. However, I added this on the list for a couple of reasons. For one, I began to love strategy games when I first adopted Fire Emblem on the Game Boy Advance, and as I learned more and more about different games, I did hear about Valkyria Chronicles from a friend who absolutely loves these games. I'm also a bit into World War II as a setting in video games, and this seems like an interesting interpretation of that setting. Even if it isn't exactly the same, considering we're dealing with a Japanese RPG here, so the setting's a bit different. So, with my love of strategy RPGs and the World War II setting, and my friend's love for the franchise, it's only really made me really curious and excited to finally play a game in this series. So, for what it's worth, that's why it's 9th on my list. Wargroove. Alright, so, remember when I mentioned how I loved strategy games due to stuff like Fire Emblem? Well, Wargroove is basically another game that follows this trend. It's more Advanced Wars, though, than Fire Emblem. And while I didn't play much of Advanced Wars, I'm totally into what Wargroove offers. I absolutely love creating my own levels in games and playing other people's stuff. And in Wargroove, they have a feature specifically where you can do exactly that and create your own levels. It's essentially exactly what I wanted from Mario plus Rabbids, except Mario plus Rabbids never actually got it, sadly. I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty confident you could also download other people's maps, and if that's the case, then I can see myself having a lot of fun on Wargroove. The Untitled Fire Emblem on Switch. So, thanks to a Nintendo Direct we had a while ago, we know that we will be getting a brand new Fire Emblem title in 2018. Another strategy game. Who could have possibly guessed that I would want another strategy game? This list seems to be more or less on par with that. Usually a brand new Fire Emblem game would be my most anticipated game, period, or at the very least a top 3 game, but I'm currently worried about where Fire Emblem currently is. Fire Emblem Awakening, in my opinion, is one of the best 3DS games, but I wouldn't even name Fire Emblem Fates, the game that came after, in my favorite games for the system at all. Hell, I wouldn't even say that I really liked Fates all that much, and I'm really surprised as I usually love these games. I did really enjoy Fire Emblem Echoes though, but that's a remake, and that could simply be the quality of the original game shining through that I'm enjoying, not necessarily what Fire Emblem is now. So, Fire Emblem on Switch is drastically lower than I would like on this list due to knowing nothing about it and being unsure if the future of Fire Emblem is going in the direction Fates took it. And if that is the case, then I'm most likely not going to enjoy this game as much. Although, if Fates is simply a one-time thing and they don't necessarily go in that direction, then I might actually still enjoy Fire Emblem, and I might be worrying about nothing, essentially. Kirby Star Allies. So, after 9, 8, and 7, you're probably thinking enough of the fucking strategy shit. And yeah, you'd be right. But the good part is that there's no more of that stuff from this point forward. And hey, you know, sometimes, maybe it's just me, but when I go out and I play a game, I like to do things differently. I like to play something that I haven't been playing for quite some time already. So when I play all this strategy stuff and I play all these games about thinking hard and, you know, really getting into the nitty gritty with stats and whatnot, sometimes I just want to shut my brain off and relax with a fun game. And that's where Kirby comes in. Kirby games have always been a fun, easy, and relaxing game to play through. My favorite Kirby game in the series was Kirby and the Crystal Shards on the N64. And my reason for loving that game was simply being able to fuse copy abilities together. Fusing abilities in that game created totally unique abilities, and Star Allies looks like it's bringing ability fusions back, although they don't look as deep, to be honest with you. Crystal Shards created lightsabers and refrigerators, while Star Allies, in the trailer anyway, mixed water with bomb and created a water bomb, and wind with bomb to create a bomb that floats. It's honestly not as interesting as Crystal Shards, in my opinion, as Crystal Shards created whole new things with the fusions. But even if that's the case, being close to Crystal Shards would still make it one of my clear favorites, considering it's at least bringing part of that mechanic back. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on this one. Mega Man 11. As far as I'm concerned, Kirby and Mega Man are the stars of the show for platformers in 2018. Despite many people on the internet not being too positive about Mega Man's new art style, I'm actually a bit positive on it, although I'm just excited to finally get more classic Mega Man. I honestly don't really have much to say about this game, considering I made a full video about this not too long ago, so I'm just gonna... Dragon Quest 11. Alright, so technically speaking, this game is already available on the PlayStation 4 and 3DS in Japan, so maybe this doesn't really fully count as a 2018 game, but considering I'm an American and this pretty much still counts to me, I'm going to put it on this list anyways. So yeah, there you go. Dragon Quest 11 looks absolutely gorgeous, and playing some good old JRPG is fun every once in a while. I have played a bit of Dragon Quest here and there. I wouldn't say I'm a huge, massive fan of it in any way, but from what I have played on my 3DS, I know a bit about it, and it pretty much just feels like a classic RPG, and honestly, it was kind of charming. The artwork is great, the game was fun, so I don't see why I wouldn't like Dragon Quest 11. The game should be heading to the Switch and to the West in 2018. And once that happens, I'm definitely going to be jumping in, because I don't even know how to put it into words. It looks so good. So I'm definitely going to give it a shot and see if I like it in any way. Shin Megami Tensei 5. Like many people out there, I started my love for Shin Megami Tensei with the spin-off Persona series, as sadly, Persona is, well, maybe not sadly, but it's generally more popular than the mainline series. But when I did get into it thanks to Persona, I wanted to better know the franchise as a whole, know the franchise it came from. So I picked up Shin Megami Tensei 4 on the 3DS to get more of a taste of this formula from Atlas. I wasn't too sure if I would enjoy it, but Jesus fucking Christ did I love this game. I've been told to try and play some of the older titles, but with so many of them, to be honest with you, it's really difficult to do this. But I did pick up Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor Overclocked and enjoy that one as well. So when I heard at the January Nintendo Switch event that a new mainline Shin Megami Tensei game would be coming to Switch, I was obviously pretty excited. It's a franchise that does a lot of interesting things. But it's hard to say exactly what makes me love these games, but the way they portray the very idea of religion in these games are incredibly interesting, and with the endings of Law versus Chaos being a theme in them, it seems like a franchise with a very fascinating premise that I want more of. This is a JRPG that tackles the idea of gods in a way I haven't seen many games do, and I love them for it. I can't wait to see what I'm getting myself thrown into when I pick this up later on, whenever it decides to come out in 2018. Project Octopath Traveler. What can I say about this game? Square Enix is supporting the Switch with one of the most unique games of 2018, and thanks to the demo, it made me realize I want this game more than I originally thought when I first saw it. Originally, this game was something I kept an eye on, but wasn't too sure of. It just looked like any other RPG to me. However, after finally playing the demo and getting to know the world and some of the mechanics, I really like where it's going, and the idea of having 8 different main characters with their own stories is pretty interesting. Hopefully, the story is really good and Square Enix keeps it interesting. However, I can see that they may be stretching themselves a bit too thin writing-wise for having these many characters to write for. The story of Primrose in the demo was so good, and I just want to know where she goes from there and what she ends up doing with her life after freeing herself from the situation she was in. I think it's too obvious to mention, but I have to. The HD 2D art style of the game is just fucking beautiful. I'm just in love with that art style. It's almost as if they fused the nostalgia of old school JRPGs of the past, but somehow decided to make them modern without really putting 3D models into it. It's weird, but it's really, really good looking. I don't know how to really describe it, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I'm so excited to finally get my hands on it, but to be honest with you guys, there's really only one other game coming to Switch that really tops it. Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. I have talked about this game so many times to so many people that it may have gotten just a tad bit unhealthy. The original No More Heroes on the Wii was some of my favorite games on the console, along with Skyward Sword. Yes, I realize that's an unpopular opinion. Mario Galaxy and Xenoblade Chronicles. And I was pretty sure that after No More Heroes 2 that the franchise was basically done with. Especially since there was no more games for No More Heroes since 2. And that was 7 years ago. No More Heroes is a quirky hack and slash game about a guy named Travis Touchdown who wanted to be the #1 assassin in the world and goes through many problems and, to be honest, hilarious antics on his road there. Travis is a lovable character. He's pretty much just a nerd with a lightsaber, and watching him go through this road was enjoyable and fun. Travis Strikes Again is Travis returning, finally, and with a weird twist. Indie games are the focus for some reason, and apparently Travis will be traveling through different worlds of many indie games, but done with the No More Heroes style and gameplay. And you know what? While it's a weird concept altogether, I'm honestly 100% on board with this idea. But I still hope deeply for a mainline title. I need No More Heroes 3 someday. And maybe if this game does well and it's successful, maybe we will get No More Heroes 3 someday. And, you know, Travis Touchdown is the one character I've always wanted in Smash since his game released back on the Wii. So maybe something can, you know, maybe he can work something out with with Nintendo. Come on, please, maybe just a bit. But now we have Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes, and that is my #1 anticipated Switch game in 2018. Alright guys, that's my most anticipated Switch games of 2018. After making this video, I realized how much Nintendo has come into their new console. At first I thought they would have some trouble finding some, but looks like that isn't the case. I even made a video about that not too long ago, about my concerns that they may have just fired off on all cylinders for 2017. But that doesn't necessarily look like the case, and I was wrong. 2018 should be a fun year for the Switch, if you're a fan of strategy and JRPG games especially. I'd love for Pokemon, Metroid, and Bayonetta to release in 2018, but none of that is confirmed, so for now, we just wait. That's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for spending some time by watching this video. Obligatory begging for a like and subbing to my channel, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Later.